Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Liz Novak.
Yes, we have you on again, talking about Doctor Who.
Again?
Yes, doing our whole
I finally
Doctor
didn't
Who
regenerate.
Wednesdays. Yes, I don't know what that means. Doing our whole
I'm
Doctor
the same
Who
person.
Wednesdays thing.
Never mind.
Right, we had a running joke. Anyway, Doctor Who Wednesdays. I'm trying to get a word in edgewise. So here's what happens. So I start off the podcast, right? Right. I start off the podcast, and then we talk about the episode.
Yes.
Wait. Okay. Wait. I literally said I start off the podcast. I start the show.
Okay there, Clara.
I just said. What did I just say?
The show?
No, you don't. The joke is she's supposed to be quiet. Oh, God. You're great. I really like you. You're great. But all right. So, okay. So, right. Okay. So, Doctor Who, Series 8, Episode 6 to 7, those are the ones that we're talking about. The Caretaker and Kill the Moon, which in no way sounds threatening.
Not as bad as Let's Kill Hitler.
Yeah, right? In no way does that sound... I love that the doctor mentioned Hitler, too. That was funny.
Yeah, that was great. We'll get to that later.
Yes. But all right. So, yeah. So what did you think about... Before we go into depth about the episodes, what did you think about the two episodes?
Well, you already know, like, Caretaker is one of my favorites of the entire season so far with the Doctor and Clara. But, well, Capaldi's Doctor anyway. I think it's one of the more adventurous, upbeat ones where it's not, like, completely dark. And I don't know, it feels more adventurous back to, like, the Eccleston era of the Doctor. And
so you really
and as for Kill the Moon, I mean, like, I really liked that one a lot, as I was explaining to you before. It's just a really deep emotional thing that I find was really good for the Doctor being an alien.
Yes, no, definitely. We always need an episode like that, I think, with each and every Doctor, at least in the newer generation of Doctor Who. We really need that newer incarnation of Doctor Who. We really need a kind of episode with either new companions or just new doctors to show the new viewers, hey, the Doctor is different. And I know that the Doctor hasn't really been warm and friendly, this Capaldi Doctor, but still, it's one of those things where I think the Kill the Moon episode was a good one to kind of show, hey, he's different. He's really, really different. And, and here's the choices that he's making or not making, and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so we start off with the Caretaker, right, which I do think out of the two I liked it more, but in no way does that put anything on Kill the Moon. I really did enjoy the Caretaker a lot more.
Yeah.
And it started off very interesting. I think they've been doing that whole, teaser thing a lot more. I mean, of course, it's really been a thing with Doctor Who for a very long time now, but I don't know, it just feels very apparent, I guess, where it's just, we got to hook them in.
Yeah.
I
like the opener for the Caretaker, where it's like, her trying to basically, what is the word I'm looking for? I have this down here. I swear. Her trying to juggle, life with the Doctor and then life with Danny.
Oh, yeah, it was very interesting. The montage was cute.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, you're all brown and stuff.
Yeah. But that's hilarious, by the way. Just, you got a space tan. Crap.
Yeah, right. Is that seaweed? I said it was freak.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed, I really enjoyed the idea of space. At least for a bit, they showed them in space. And, getting, and also the idea that it's just, hey, I have to go undercover. right? You're thinking, wow, like, so is Doctor not going to be? It's going to be a Doctor Light episode because they actually, they did it a lot in even though Capaldi hasn't been around as long as Tennant was, you can tell that eventually they started doing that with Tennant, where it was just Doctor Light episodes, things like Blink and Midnight and episodes like that.
Oh, I loved Blink.
Who doesn't love Blink? Love and Monsters was another one that even though no one else enjoys it, I enjoy it. Right, Love and Monsters, and also, just again another Dr. Light episode that they started to do. So I thought it might have been that, but nope. The Doctor's a caretaker.
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to reel over the fact that you like Love and Monsters. It's like the one episode nobody talks about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like Love and Monsters.
Though to break away from what we're talking about, I do love when Rose is all like, "You made my mom cry." Nobody makes my mom cry.
But I like that episode. So yeah, I really do. And but getting back to this, the Doctor's a caretaker, right? The Doctor is
John Smith.
So. Oh God, I love whenever he uses that alias. It's just it's the best call. It's one of the best callbacks in the show. The running gags and things like that. When it's just, oh, my name's John Smith, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been going on for years.
I guess like moments like that really make me miss Elizabeth Sladen.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Well, thanks for making me sad.
I'm sorry.
You've done a great job on the show thus far. You're fired.
But the Doctor,
don't try to talk about my
mysterious.
nice ass now.
What? It is a but. Listen, P.E.
I know it. I know. Hey, I'm not a soldier. Farthest thing from. But
I have one question. Does Danny remind you of Mickey? Because Danny really reminds me of early. Early revival Mickey before he became like his own person, where he was all like dependent.
I think of him as the exact opposite, where he reminds me more so of Ricky.
Really?
Actually, yes, because Ricky was the more more serious. I don't know, something about Mickey was just, maybe I just have to rewatch the show, but my impression of Mickey in my head was just goofball. Kind of a...
Yeah, but I mean, the way... But I mean, his reaction to Clara and the Doctor reminded me of, Mickey's reaction to Rose and the Doctor. Like, oh, what, you're going to leave again?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's... Well, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, though, he was accepting when he understood what was going on. The problem was, Pink didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so he had to learn what was going on. And then he took it pretty well because he understands what's going on, and he hears, he understands, oh, okay, like you're just, this is just what you do, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't know what she did. Where Mickey was more so the jealous boyfriend, but it was kind of okay because, Rose and the Doctor sort of became a thing that I don't enjoy-ish. So that was kind of more than this, where this is just literally just platonic, friends, but of course, they end up having a lot of conflict, which you see in Kill the Moon, and even throughout the show thus far, a little bit of conflict here and there. So yeah, I that's why I think of him. I definitely don't think of him as Mickey, more so Ricky, because of the idea of the soldier. Where Mickey did not come off as that kind of character to me. But all right, so I really liked this episode, The Caretaker, because I don't know, it felt more like the Doctor overall, because I know every Doctor has something different to him, and it's obvious. Of course, every Doctor has something different, some quirk that's a bit different that may not cross over. But it just felt weird,
but you still have similar characteristics of the Doctor.
Yes, but again, quirks, right? So, one does this, one does that. You'll notice catchphrases, things like that. I'm really, I was very happy to see the Doctor just kind of, I don't know, just feel like his old self in a way, in the sense that it felt like this Doctor's quirk was, I mentioned this before on the show, let's shit on Clara. So I'm really happy that this episode, so I'm happy that this episode felt as if, it was a little bit of a departure from that. I mean, yeah, it happened later, and it was really funny when it's like, you got the quote wrong, because it's like, hey, she did, you know. So it was just really funny that, it's just really funny to me. Really nice. The quote thing was funny, but it's really nice to see him just be. It's funny to say a better person, a better Time Lord. You know, I don't know if he was a better human. He's not human, but he was a better human. He's only half, but he was a better human.
I really think that this episode takes me back to, like, I think what I mentioned to someone earlier was, I want to say maybe David Tennant and a little, I guess, slightly of Matt Smith. Like, I felt like he was becoming too humanized, but I think with Capaldi, he plays it off really well as, like, humans, like, and he's like, the mindset that he's carrying is just really different, and I like what he brings to the Doctor as opposed to, like, the former predecessors of the Doctor.
Well, I disagree, because Matt Smith was completely alien a lot.
I guess so, but I mean, to an extent, but you saw, his care for, like, Amy and Rory and, humans in general. I can see why, like, there were certain episodes where he was. No, it's not a problem. But it's just like, a lot of people tend to forget that, the Doctor is an alien.
Yes, but like, it's not as if he has contempt for humans.
Okay. You win this round.
Okay. Haha. You referenced River, which I was very happy about, because I'm happy. Look, I understand that she's not going to be there because her time is over. Like, her story is done.
No. Let me tell you, there was an interview with Alex Kingston who says, she's been told, like, she's like, I haven't been told that River's story is completely done yet. So she hasn't been told that she's not going to come back.
Right, but no, what I mean is this. If she can appear as cameo, okay, but her story really is done. I mean, we know the moment where she goes to the library and dies. So unless
but there's still a lot of, like, in between.
Of course there's
a
lot
not necessarily after, but I mean, like, remember their timelines are still different. So where she could appear, she could still be alive.
She could. I'm just saying that, the idea is, my point is this, is that it felt as if she was dead, basically, to them, because she hasn't been mentioned in a while. And I was okay with that. But I do like the little references here and there to past companions, because the Doctor has traveled with a lot of people, so there's no reason why he can't just make one-off, references to people.
That's what I loved about, the first episode of this season, where he referenced Amy, he referenced Rose. It was just, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, no, because it's just a little thing. It's not like you need, while I do enjoy people coming back, you don't need episodes dedicated to them.
No, but as long as you remember those episodes, you know who he's talking about. And it's like, oh, Squee, he's talking about somebody I know.
Yeah, just little stuff here and there. Nothing major. You're not saying that we need, arcs dedicated to Rose, because please, no. But, little mentions here and there, there's no problem with it. There's no problem with little references here and there, because it really makes you feel like it's a connected universe and that it's not just the Doctor. Like, I love that the Doctor is just traveling around, but it's not just him traveling from one place to another, and it's like, no, stuff never really happened. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Kind of like, when you had Sarah Jane pop in for a couple episodes back in the beginning, like with Tennant's era.
Yeah, and the school episode, by the way, haven't had a school episode in a while.
Yes, I loved it.
So that also was an interesting, to have the school environment be used, because it's really been, yes, Clara's a school teacher, but it's really been played up this series more so than, any other reference, beforehand. So I really do enjoy that they played up the school thing, and was really funny, I think, was the Doctor talking to Pink. I'll never call him Penny, right? And just not comprehending that he isn't a PE teacher.
Yeah.
It is the funniest thing in the world.
It's not that he doesn't want to comprehend, but I mean, like, in the beginning when they were doing that montage, he was like, I hate soldiers, don't you? And she was like, yeah, I hate soldiers too. But, the Doctor's always had this, like, anger towards soldier and the military. And I guess, he it's not that he like, you know, doesn't want to admit to it, but he doesn't want to. Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to admit to it that Danny was a former soldier. You know, it's like, well, you have to teach PE because this is who you are. So
that's
you can't be a mathematician. You're a former.
But that's literally what I'm saying. He literally cannot comprehend the idea that he wouldn't be. It's just, no, this is this.
I don't think it's like necessarily he can. I just think it's like he doesn't want to. Like he doesn't want to admit to, you know, Danny being like, he doesn't want to admit that something he cares about is falling for. Okay.
It's the same. I'm not saying that in his infinite Dr. Wisdom. It's just I can't put this circle into this circle. Like, no, it's just he. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to
admit. Yeah, he doesn't want to. Is that better? Does that?
Yes.
Does that soothe you?
Very much. Thank you.
Yes. Also, by the way, I really think they had some great music in this episode.
Yeah.
You know, I noticed it. Yeah, I noticed it when, let me see here. I noticed it when Clara saw the doctor talking to Pink. It just felt so whimsical. And, you know, and even when, like, the doctor was confused about who she liked, the music was just great. You know, I really liked...
It was more adventurous music, which also reminded me back to, like, the Eccleston era, where it was, like, you know, upbeat and, like, you know, a lot more adventurous than it has been for this season anyway.
Yeah, for this season. Because, I mean, I think every series has its own little fun music. I loved Matt Smith's a lot in the first series that he was in, Series 5. I loved his music a lot. And it got that, you know, it was... Exactly. No. I'll hum it sometimes, and I'll forget that I'm humming it. And so I really enjoyed it.
It is very adventurous. Like, it's very upbeat. It's very positive. It really makes you think, like, you can get anything done, and I love that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so, so the music was great in this episode. Not so much in Kill the Moon. Not that I hated it, but I just didn't really resonate with me. But I really loved it in Caretaker. I think that they just did it very, very well. And also something... you were saying?
Oh, no, I was going to say I completely agree with you.
All
music.
But, yes. So, moving forward. Talking about... Well, it's funny. Moving forward, we were just talking about the doctor noticing, you know, getting it wrong about who she cared about. So it's like, not moving forward. Staying where we are. The idea that... So not only did he get it wrong, you know, like who Clara's boyfriend was. The idea that he looked at someone who looks like he could play the doctor.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that was hilarious. He looked at a Matt Smith lookalike, basically.
It reminds me of a young time traveler.
Oh my God! It was just hilarious to have that happen. You know, I died because you just sit there and you're like, wow. So apparently he got that wrong in the best way possible. Also, I think what's cute is that the doctor, you can see that the doctor does care because you know he cares. But it really felt nice to see him care. It really felt nice to just see it happen. Again, this is the doctor that I really want to see more often. So I was very happy to see that. Also, by the way, right, I don't know if you noticed this, because you mentioned you saw the original, like, Doctor Who, like the original 1960s. It felt like an interesting, like a callback, if you will. The idea that a student finds the TARDIS again.
Yes.
Well, so I mean, technically not a student.
To an extent.
Because
it was his granddaughter in the original.
It was his granddaughter who was, but still the idea of just a child finding the TARDIS and then the teachers coming. You know, the teachers were the ones who really found it, but still the idea of just,
And it's funny because I believe that they're teaching at the same place that they taught back in 1963. It's supposed to be the same school.
That would be interesting if you can look that up for me. Make sure, find out if it's the same school. Because if it is, then I really want to see more of Ian Chesterton. And I'm wondering if they were trying to get him, but they couldn't have gotten him to work on it. Because I would have loved to have seen him or Barbara.
They should have got his son.
Or that, yes. Either one. But, that would have been fun. But anyway, so, okay. Speaking of... What is it? Let me look at this. Okay, yes. The idea that Pink, right? Speaking of Pink, I really love that he, we sit there, right, and we think, They're going to drop the thing. They had a really cool thing going with, Pink being able to kind of piece everything together. But damn, it looks like they dropped that. I'm really happy that they didn't, because you start seeing him piece things together again. And I really enjoy it, because why shouldn't he? I mean, again, he's ex-Army. He's ex-military. Why would he not be able to piece things together, when he just sees them, right? So a lot of the stuff in this episode, he's just sitting there and he's like, all right, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. What's going on? Nothing. Okay, no, I know when someone's lying. And also it's really funny because he sits there, he's like, I know when someone's lying. And I want to look at him and say, you don't understand. Clara's just not good at lying. There's no there's no little tells. It's just Clara's really bad at this.
Basically. I mean, I kind of feel like I really feel for Danny, when he figures it out. When he sees everything happening, and he catches on.
Yeah, no, I do too, because it's a very interesting experience. But also, by the way, something interesting that I don't really see a lot in this show, the camera angles, very cool stuff, very different, following the Doctor first person running through the halls. That was new, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. Yeah. Also, by the way, so I mentioned this to you when we were watching it together today. I really love this robot. I really love the robot.
Japanese robot.
No, that's the thing. He's definitely inspired by Japanese robots. No matter what anyone tries to tell me, he's inspired by some Japanese tokusatsu, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, like those types of, robots in those, sci-fi shows. That's what he's inspired by. He has to be. And it's too perfect.
And I really want to admit that, it feels really nice to have an episode that is derived for, like, a new creature, like a new big bad that's not, like, really huge. Because, like, the feeling that I got when I was watching this one for the second time even was when I saw, this robotic creature thing, it reminded me of watching, like, seeing the Dalek for the first time, seeing the Cybermen for the first time, like, just that new, interesting feeling. And it's like, oh, my God, like, is the Doctor going to get this, together in time? Like, what's going to happen? What is this thing going to do? And it's like, what is the adventure that's going to lead up to the point of the Doctor, of course, like, saving the world or whatever?
I can see that. First off, it's funny. I thought it was a Dalek because of the kind of voice changes they used and the voice that that whoever the voice actor used for it. So I laughed because I thought it was a Dalek, and I was like, oh, okay. Daleks in schools, that usually works out well. Yeah. But no, so it wasn't a Dalek, and I think, like you said, I enjoyed that. And the reason why I enjoyed that is because it's just, like you said, nice to see something new, and it's good to see. Because it's always fun to bring out those, Daleks or whoever else. And, the Daleks will appear, I'm sure, because, usually they appear once every series, contractually obligated, I believe, to appear once every series. But it's more, okay, it's weird to say this because it's a Dalek and it's a killing, basically, genocide machine. But it's like Christmas, No, because it's like it comes once because, hear me out, I swear. It's like Christmas because, when Christmas comes, it comes once a year because, hey, big special event. You can't wait for it to happen. It's huge, and it's going to be great. WrestleMania comes once a year. It's so huge. Can't wait for it to happen, right? If you see the Daleks every week or something like that, or in multi-part episodes or, twice in a series, all of a sudden it just kind of dilutes them a bit. So it's really nice that they've kind of laid back on the Daleks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of get that because, there is a lot of other big bads out there, and it's nice to be able to see them in the light instead of, like, solely remaining on the Dalek. Because I get the Dalek is, like, one of the Doctor's biggest evil, arch nemesis.
They were the first.
It's cool to see. Yeah, yes, they were. Yeah. I remember.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, it is the same school.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, Coal Hill School.
That makes me happy inside. That makes me happy inside. But yeah, so okay. I don't know if you felt this. But when I was watching the episode and they had the explosions, which you noticed the explosions,
Yes.
like when Pink first noticed the robot, I thought they were weird. Because, I know special effects have gotten better and cheaper as time goes on, but it felt weird to have huge explosions in my Doctor Who, right? But more so, the big explosions in a small contained area where, like, usually...
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I'm a fan of practical effects, I guess, so, the fire, like the whoosh, but it was pure special effects and it was weird.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was just weird.
It was different. You don't really get to see a lot of necessarily explosions anymore
in Doctor Who. Like, they don't really seem relevant. And when they do, it's like it's the explosion of like, oh no, the building's collapsing, or oh no, the planet's exploding, or something. So the special effects for that will usually work. But in this case, it was interesting. It was weird to see it kind of just blow up like that. It was like, hey, it was like an intro course for a Michael Bay class.
But it was a lot better than like the Slovene flying into the Big Ben or something, so.
I like that. And also, that was like 2005, so, I mean, what did you expect? But anyway, so, apparently, hey, you shush. Apparently Clara loves Pink, so like, whoa, Clara.
I know, right? Like, whoa. We haven't even had enough. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, like, I don't even know if I love him yet. I like him. He's a great person. He's a tender lover, but I don't know if I love him yet. I don't know. I really don't know if I love the man yet. I mean, he treats me right. He's a provider, but I don't know if I truly am in love with Pink yet.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So, like, I mean, you don't really
about him being
get
a tender
enough
lover.
Into him. All we know, no, but I mean, like, we don't really get much of an insight into him, except for that, he's ex-military and he's a math teacher, and, we got a look into his past, back and listen, but it's still, like, you don't really know who he is as much as we know, like, who Clara is and who the Doctor is at this point.
Yeah, what I'll say is I think it's the idea that, and it always happens in Doctor Who episodes, and of course we saw it, so it's not as if it didn't happen here as well. The idea that a lot goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. So because of all the Doctor's adventures with Clara, she's obviously had a lot more time to date Pink than we've had to see him.
Of course that's completely understandable, but I mean, like, I feel like, we don't really get much of an insight to him like we did with Rory,
Well,
because Rory was Amy's.
Yeah, he was already there. That's the thing. So he was already there.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so this is trying to develop something.
I get that.
Yeah, so this is trying to develop something, but he hasn't been a part of every episode.
Yeah. So far.
Yeah, he's been a part of the majority, but so far up to episode 6, he hasn't been a part of every episode. So even in 7, it was just brief. So yeah, it was interesting. I'll say that much. But yeah, also something very, very interesting. I don't know why even though it's like, Doctor does not like soldiers. Know that. Pink, a soldier. For some reason, it did not connect that he would disapprove. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why because obviously I saw why he thought, oh, it's this other guy, because it looked like a Matt Smith lookalike. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, this one, the soldier?
Yeah, he didn't want to because, like, he hates soldiers of his past, and, I guess, like exactly what Danny said, he needs to make sure that I'm good enough for you, and it's like that really means that the Doctor completely cares and he wants just the best for Clara, which to be honest, this is one of the only episodes that I really enjoyed seeing Clara in, because I get it. I mean, we get that the Doctor only wants what's best for her because he cares about her. Not necessarily like that, relationship-wise caring, but like, that friendship caring. Like, he wants her to be with somebody who is going to be good. And with his previous history on soldiers, he just wants to make sure that he's going to be there. He's going to be, not a jerk and, not completely stern, like he's going to be caring, and he's going to have emotion instead of just being like, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. And also, what I think is interesting. speaking not of Pink, but now of the guy that, the doctor thought of. Oh, that's the guy. I love that Clara said that he's not her type. And I like that because I just want to stop that love from ever happening. Like, sorry, I'm really not a fan of Doctor Companion love. Doctor, and Grant, yes, River was a companion, but when with someone that is also in
but
either
River
an
wasn't
alien
as much
or
of a companion as like everybody else was.
He
had like a deeper connection. I no, but she had like a deeper connection from Silence at the Library.
That still doesn't. Well, yes, but that still doesn't mean that she can't be a companion. She's a companion. She's labeled as a companion.
I guess so.
It's not like it's a bad thing, like, oh God, she's a fucking companion. No, she's a companion. But at the same time, like you said, there is a much deeper connection, and that's why I don't have an issue with if someone tried to say, well, she traveled with the doctor just like everyone else did, on and off screen, possibly more off screen. Like, yes, but
yeah, because there were so many, everything in their timeline was mixed up when it was backwards, and
Yes.
But I guess the difference between like River and Clara is that like River had her own sense of like independence where she wasn't trying. I mean, she was telling. But
why are we comparing them?
I don't know.
Why are we? There's no reason to compare them. That wasn't the goal.
Ghostbusters.
You're going off script.
Ghostbusters.
We're not even there yet. You're skipping ahead to another part of the play. This isn't part of the school play, Clara.
Oh my God, I'm going to kick you for that. No, all right, but
I love
okay.
No,
jumping back to like Danny's reaction though to seeing the doctor and to seeing everything that happened, and I honestly have to say, like, instead of him standing there being completely wowed, I mean, yeah, he was wowed to an extent, but he felt, what I got from him was I feel like he felt slightly betrayed from Clara, like she was keeping things from him, it's like, you love me, but you're keeping this from me, like, what type of shit is that? But, I mean, his reaction is amazing, and it's really genuine, and it's just like, instead of like, oh my God, he's an alien, he's got a box, that's so cool, no, he was like, wait, what? There's life?
It's the good old it's the good old reaction. The good old TARDIS explanation, the good old TARDIS reaction. And I understand why they were going away from that with the whole like, oh yeah, I know about this stuff, because it was really funny and it was a nice departure from that. But now that we've gone there, it's really nice to kind of go back to I'm sorry, run this by me again.
Especially when the doctor has to tell him, oh, it's bigger on the inside.
Yes, that was hilarious. Just him giving her the talk. Just, sometimes you're going to have to talk to people about the TARDIS, Clara. But, yes, so we see the invisibility watch on Pink, and then we see what happens with him and the doctor.
Oh, that was such a heartbreaking scene, though.
And you laughed. What the hell's your problem?
I was laughing at the watch because he puts on the watch and, the doctor's reaction was like, well, let's go on an adventure now. Like, he might be invisible, but hello, Clara, I am an alien. I can sense this.
Oh, yes. Okay, you're right. That was funny. It's just, it's just,
great.
And that scene with them together. Ha, ha, ha. Man, that was sad. You said, I'm sorry, but the way you put them together, all I could think of is the gingerbread man. Just, you're a monster. Not the gumdrop buttons. No.
Speaking of, I had a stuffed animal, like a stuffed Gingy somewhere. I'm so sad I lost it. Okay, back to
Doctor talking Who. About Doctor Who. What's interesting is that they were butting heads because they're so similar in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's
but
what's
they both
crazy.
agree that they want to do. But they both agree that they want to do right by Clara. So that's the one thing that kind of brought them together at like some sort of agreement.
Yeah, but it's crazy how they're so similar. It's just the idea that that Pink is a grunt / a soldier, right?
Yeah.
And the doctor is the general that's giving orders. And it was such a great assessment because that's just what he does all the time. He gives orders. He says, oh, do this, do this, do this. And, you realize, like, wait a minute. He is he's more like an army general.
Yeah. And that's what I think sometimes scares him.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Because he's always rushing into battle and giving orders. I mean,
but I think that's also why he needs, you know, like several times you get like even like those single episode companions, you get people who say like you need somebody with you, not just to you know to help you, but to also rein you back and to like tell you what to do. Because yes, you're an alien, but you do get reckless, you know, and he is really old now. You know, regardless of you know who plays him, he's still an aged person.
Yes, no, definitely. I feel that completely. So, all right. So you brought up the Ghostbuster thing before, which I mentioned. Yeah, now he's a Ghostbuster. Now he's part of the Ghostbusters. We're at that point where he has the outfit on, and it's like, who are you going to call? Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't make that reference. I don't know why they did.
I know, right?
Usually they go for it. I mean, hell,
Damn it, Moffat.
They went for it too much with Tennant, I feel. You know, we're like, I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Yes. But, oh my god.
But anyway, so I really enjoyed, you know, that exchange. The weird thing I think was that when Pink went to fight the robot, I don't know about you, but I think Pink is a Power Ranger. I don't know if he was really military.
that jump. The jump he did. Oh my god.
Yeah, if he was military, he was part of a squadron of Power Rangers. Like, that's what happened. Because
probably
he did the flip, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, maybe he was the Pink Ranger.
Damn it, Kimberly.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't understand. I was so confused.
He was so graceful. That's why he had to leave. He was too ashamed of being Pink.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was just yes. Also, as a Power Ranger, he killed all those people. But anyway, so Courtney, right? Courtney's her name, but from now on, I will refer to her as Disruptive Influence. So Disruptive Influence is on the TARDIS, right? And apparently, she got space sickness.
Yeah.
Right. So generally, and we're not talking about Kill the Moon just yet. We're talking about in Caretaker. How do you feel about Disruptive Influence finding the TARDIS so easily? And it kind of being very
loved it.
Really? And you thought of it just being
great.
Okay, because I mean,
because you know you get Clara all the time, and like you get like a Disruptive Influence kid like that, like Courtney, and you know it's like, oh, what is this? Well,
my
it's
question
a spaceship. It travels through time and space. Come on, let's go.
Right. No. But that's the problem. Do you think that it... Okay, I like that she found it, so that's not my problem. My problem is, do you think that it was... Because I think it was casually thrown in. Like, I feel like when the Doctor finds his companions, it's usually a bigger stink, and he might take them on one-episode tours or whatever, which did happen, you know, recently. And
I think it was kind of like a slight brushing for the next episode. You know, that she stumbles upon the TARDIS, and you know he takes her on, and then the next one she's like, "All right, I'm ready to do this."
But still, it felt very casual. Like it was just, even though, because the thing is, okay, when it happened with the kids, with the babysitting, whatever, they were small children. So it's kind of like, oh, like, I'll trust them in their innocence. But she's been proven as a quote-unquote bad kid. And yes, you have to see how she's not just one-dimensional with her bad kidness, right? But, and that's good. That's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to show. But it just felt like it felt like they didn't have enough time in this episode. And I never really thought about that until, like, I'm thinking about her being on the TARDIS the next episode. And I'm like, wait, when was that established? It was kind of just like, oh, yeah, like, you know, like, out of nowhere, just let me show you a bit of space. You won't tell anyone, will you? You know what I mean? Like, it was weird. Like, you know, you take her on the TARDIS, and then all of a sudden, it's, you know, for a bit, and all of a sudden, she's now a companion. Like, it didn't feel very much like, you've acquired a companion. No, just like, a little cat wandered in. Whatever.
I think it's one of those, like, you know, because she's, like, one of those, you know, rebellious kids, it was like, well, you either take her or, you know, problems get created. And she seemed like, you know, because she's disruptive and whatever, he's like, I kind of like that. Like, let's bring you on. Let's try this out.
I mean, yeah, he kind of enjoyed it in a weird way, I think. But it was just very strange to just not really mention it. Like, it didn't feel like I knew she was going to be on. She wasn't in the previews. So she's just on in the next episode. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, she's just there. I didn't see her in the preview.
Yeah, she was standing next to Clara when Clara's making that big speech to Earth.
Huh. Okay. I didn't notice her because I was too busy looking at Clara talking about the Earth's dead. So yeah, but
man. But I liked
anyway.
it. I mean, I thought that, you know, seeing Courtney was really good. You know, it was nice to have somebody else come along, and it not necessarily like an innocent, you know, a sort of innocence, but to an extent because she is a slight rebellious kid.
Yeah. I'm not disputing the fact that she should be there. I'm more disputing the fact of how it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was given enough time to kind of register. And to
I don't think it was meant to, because, you know, she was like, "Oh, can I come with you?" And he's like, "Well, maybe I might have an opening for a companion soon, depending if Clara,
so that's the thing. So that's the thing. So that was an interesting sentence. That was an interesting sentence. That made me think, oh, damn, because, like, it could happen. But then all of a sudden, it's like, you didn't have an opening. She's just there. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, all right. So, talking about, all right, so Pink, right? I think he's a great character to have on the show, right? Because, you know, like I said before, the idea that, you know, okay, the idea of he's not Mickey, he's more so Ricky, but the idea is, you know, at first it felt like it was going to be that. It was going to be like, oh, he's just the Ricky to, you know, to Clara's Rose, and then, you know, is he going to get all jealous and stuff? And, like, no, it's nice to go into a different direction, and it's nice to not have...
I didn't mean it in that sense.
No, but I am, because it's in my notes.
Oh.
So I am. Yeah. So it's nice to have that. Also, I'm really happy that they went back to doing the you know, the afterlife thing, whatever that will turn into. Not sure what that'll turn into. You know, we are doing this show late, right? But we don't want to spoil anything for anyone. So not sure what that turns into.
And you still haven't watched it either. I've watched it all. So like
exactly.
Watching this really makes me, I'm not going to spoil it, but I mean watching this really makes me excited for the ending now, because like you get to I get to watch everything again, and like I absolutely adore Missy, and I am hoping that you're going to like who, you know, like the ending, like her story. It's just it's cool to see like that different world, like, you know, like he's the dude at the end was dead. Like that was just really cool to see.
Well, that's the thing. I'm curious, and I'm wondering if he's really dead, because I mean, it feels like another plane of existence, you know, and that's what's very interesting. It feels like another plane of existence, and it just feels, you know, like, but not like it. It's funny. It's like, well, yeah, he's dead. Another plane of existence. No, I mean, like, it feels like
I'm gonna quote
it
this.
feels like another planet. No, it feels like another planet. You know, it's very interesting. And so I don't know what it is. Of course, you know, we don't know what it is yet. So I mean, technically he's dead according to what they're saying, but so it's the afterlife. So I really, you know, can't wait to get more of that. Something I found interesting, I think, is the fact that they brought it back, because they didn't have it for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember. Which is weird.
It starts to come back more so, and I like that.
You know, but I wanted it to be every episode, because even if it's in a weird way shoehorned in, you know, just the idea that, you know, I don't know, I'm a big fan of the idea of, you know, the Bad Wolf and the Saxton and stuff like that. Even if it's just background noise, I'm really a big fan of those. So it really kind of frustrates me when it's just, let's skip it for a bit. Like, no, that's your big story. That should be your big arc.
Oh, believe me. Believe me.
Yeah, no, I
when
know
it
it's going to,
happens.
no, I'm sure it's going to tie in together. It's just the idea that, you know, it's just really weird that they're not really pushing it every episode.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. But I mean, because I've watched it, I'm kind of like on that plane where like I'm okay with it not happening every episode, but I understand where you're coming from. Like, it would be nice to see little snippets here and there to kind of figure out what's going to happen, you know, at the 2-part finale.
Right. Okay, so so watching Kill the Moon, right? Yes.
Courtney stole the psychic paper.
Yes, exactly.
Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. You know what's interesting? He usually treats kids nicely, but I've never really seen him with teenagers. So it's interesting. Usually you don't really see him with teenagers.
Yeah,
so
it's very really cool seeing him with kids.
Well, no, with teenagers.
Well, adolescents, yes, but you know what? Like
yes,
young,
yes.
non-adult,
not adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying it is still different regardless compared to how he usually treats.
Yeah.
How he
you know what?
usually
Kind of the one thing I was really annoyed with this episode so far was, it was like, oh, well, Courtney thinks she's not special because you acted like she wasn't special. You didn't tell her that she was special. And it's like, he already went through this with a couple other, previous companions. Like, everybody's special. Everybody's important. Like, come on.
She's 15. How did you feel when you were 15? Like, I'm pretty sure. That's what I'm pretty sure that's acceptable for a teenager to feel, especially one like her, with crappy parents, at least the way her parents seem.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
But, yeah. But anyway, so, all right, the Mars suits still exist, which is fun. Like, they're darker, but he still has those just in case. And, it's really fun to kind of see those spacesuits still kind of just be on the TARDIS. Just in case.
Yeah.
And he has them in all sizes, apparently.
Well, don't you know
fun.
He's got like 1,000 rooms on that thing?
Of course.
And a pool.
Yeah, no, the wardrobe is, and the pool and the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So moving forward about the general, like the actual topic in the episode, or at least at first. The moon has gravity.
Yeah.
The moon has gravity.
Or at least.
Yeah.
So they think.
No, no, it's the moon. It's what we call it. It just has gravity, and it's just interesting because, these are episodes that I like, right? Showing that little sciencey things we take for granted can have a lasting effect on us, and it can even kill us.
Yeah, we definitely underestimate and take for granted what the moon and the sun, what everything scientifically what it does for us. It's like I'm not going to sit here, and start talking inconvenient truth to you, but everything has an everlasting effect.
No, I get that completely. Like, I'm right there with you. It's like we, everything, serves its purpose, and sometimes we end up destroying it. In this case, it wasn't that, but we end up destroying it.
Yeah.
And
but still, it kind of was.
No. I mean, destroying it as in, pollution. I'm referring to specifically.
Oh, yeah, we're not physically destroying it. And, you figure out, we're not the ones causing this problem. But still, I mean, it's amazing to think, what we do in the real world can have an effect on certain things.
Oh, of course. Most definitely. No, that's true. Most definitely. Also, speaking of the episode itself, I do like a good old spaceship in Doctor Who. Right, that's always fun to see. Good old moving to other, doing stuff in other planets. A little scary to think that the moon's falling apart, but whatever. Standard Tuesday, typical Tuesday.
Right.
What
about when the moon? So I was like, well, the moon's still there in the future. Yeah, at least I think it is. Well, maybe it's a hologram. Maybe it's a completely different moon. And that I adore that line. Maybe it's a completely different moon.
Yeah.
That is the greatest foreshadow for this episode.
Yeah, no, foreshadowing is great. Yes, I really like the foreshadowing a lot in this episode because I didn't see that coming. Usually I see that stuff from shows like Gravity Falls and Steven Universe, but I usually don't see foreshadowing like that in this show. So that was really nice to have.
What was your overall opinion of this episode before we get deeper into it?
Well, I mentioned I didn't hate this episode compared, it was the lesser of my two favorites compared to the other one, but I really enjoyed this episode's message. I really liked, what it was trying to do, trying to say, hey, this is humanity's issue, because it really is. However, I do understand at the end why Clara was mad at the doctor. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But I do feel like, I do feel like the idea of this is humanity's problem and letting humanity take care of it is accurate. And the idea of, trying to destroy this life before it destroys you, but before you really know what it's going to do, you just assume that it's going to destroy you. You know, and that's the problem.
The human race is. I think the human race has become it's really ignorant at times.
Oh, most definitely. And we look at our inner, deepest, darkest, our problems or our, just the idea of of things like violence, and we push it onto others and push it onto things that we really don't have to. The idea that,
I mean, if you remember, the Christmas Invasion, where Tennant's first episode, he says, what did you do that for? They were going back.
Exactly.
I should have warned them, that the real threat is Earth and the human race.
Yes. No, it's that is completely relevant. The idea that all you could do, right, Liz, is say hi to someone, just hi, right? And someone, based on their mood or based on their day or based on whatever problems they have, what their baggage, right, what they're coming in with, they'll say, oh, you said hi? What's your problem? Like, excuse me? Well, it's the tone, it's the inclination, it's the way you said it that doesn't really convince me that you're trying to say hi to me. You have an agenda. And it's just, and a lot of people do this, and I don't want to say everyone does this, but people do that, and it's really crazy to think, because people don't see it sometimes. It's like, no, people don't do that, but they do. I've heard, people talk about other people and sit there and go, I was there for that conversation. It was, no one was being mean to anyone, right? Like, we were all just, I'm not saying we were all doing kumbaya, but no one was being outwardly evil, right, to anyone. But just someone coming in with that, that mindset of just, no, but the way this was said this way, this was done this way, it was just, I didn't see that at all. Right? But that's the thing. So a lot of people, we push these feelings of just, violence, let's say, towards another thing. And it's a baby. It wasn't even born yet.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a baby yet. It wasn't even born.
By the way, the moon's an egg.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's the moon's an egg.
Wait a minute. The moon I think we kind of forgot something there.
Moon's a chicken.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so here's something that I found underwhelming because I thought it was going to see what I liked about this episode. I'll give it this: they had a nice little misdirection.
Yes. Because I was very underwhelmed when I saw the alien spider. But a new species, a new creature. It's so nice seeing something new.
It's just an alien spider. There's It's just an alien spider. There's nothing new about it. It's just a big spider. What I mean is, here's what I mean by that, right? What I mean is, as a villain, it's bad, but it wasn't a villain, so it's okay. But if that was going to be the villain, right, when it jumped, it's like, oh, God, you are scary, yes. But just crawling around, like, look, I have a weird thing about spiders in real life. So, yeah, in real life, if there was a spider in any way that large, and I understand the idea of, like, you have to think about it in real life terms. How would you feel if that was there? I would be terrified, sure. But just looking at it, the way it was done, the CGI, I didn't scare me. Usually when I think of monsters, and how they should be presented in horror, it's a lot better when you don't show the monster or when you wait until the end to show it.
Yeah.
And then it's like the big reveal. But it wasn't a monster. It wasn't. It was a misdirection. It killed, but it wasn't its primary goal. It's really more so survival thing. So I accepted that, and I like it, right? But just seeing it walking, seeing it appear, if that would have been, the actual villain, the main villain of this entire thing, and there was no, plot point about saving or not saving, anything like that, it really would have been weak. Very, very weak.
Yeah, I get that.
So I'm very happy that they kind of turned it into this. What we were able to see.
I enjoyed this episode so much.
Yes.
It's for the message it brings across.
Also, something else that I want to mention before we continue. I mentioned in the last episode, like, oh yeah, it's always good to have an episode about insert, good old TARDIS explanation, right? In this case, it was really nice to have one of those episodes that we should have for at least every Doctor incarnation, every Doctor regeneration. The idea of, hey, sometimes I don't even know what's going to happen. Let's just do this. it's good to have that. Like, the Doctor knows a lot. He pretty much knows almost everything in the universe because of how many times he's gone to, like, save this or save that. But
yeah,
he still
he
hasn't
is the
traveled.
Doctor.
Yes, but he still hasn't done everything yet. I mean, yes, in
it's
the Doctor's
both exciting
timeline,
and scary that, you know, like, when the Doctor doesn't know something, I find it really exciting and scary at the same time, because it's like, okay, well, something new is going to be, you know, like, we're finally on a new adventure with him, like, almost like a one-on-one type of thing. But then it's also scary. It's like, well, what's going to happen? What is he going to do? Like, you know, what's going to happen to his companions? Like, who's going to die? Who's going to live?
Yes, definitely. Something else I think you really liked. I really think you loved this. The Tumblr reference.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you were a fan.
Yes.
I laughed only because
you can't put that picture. You can't put pictures of me online.
Oh, not even that. No, that was later. The idea of my granny used to use Tumblr.
Yeah, because you forget. Like, I mean, you remember. Like, this is, you know, a few years into.
A long time into the future.
Well,
it's like, 2050. So it's like, it makes a lot of sense to say my grandma used to use Tumblr because, and we make those jokes, well, actually, no, not with you, though, not yet anyway, but I usually make those jokes where it's just, you know, like 30 years from now, 40 years from now, just, you know, let's put on, you know, some of the music I've listened to as a child, and it's just rap, just coming to your house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
don't even. I've been stuck on a bus to Atlantic City listening to like this, like 50s and 60s music, so I know.
50s and 60s music is pretty good, but at the same time,
not really.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. I like that. Just, it was a difference in opinion, and you were just like, you know what? I will lay back and let Matt's opinion become fact. I like that for some reason. Just, we both had differing opinions. Not after I just said it is good. That was my whole speech and debate coach here, and that was my speech. No, it's actually good. That's my first contention. No, it's actually good. And you sat there and thought, all right, I'll take him up on that.
Oh my God.
But anyway, so also, by the way, did you notice the Dr. Sonic the pictures offline? At least
yes.
I mean, well then again, he did put Courtney through the big computer, so I'm sure he did that with the Sonic.
Oh yeah,
as well.
probably.
But I feel like he
really
Sonics
cool.
them offline.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm fairly certain that he did, because he's like, you know, you can't put those on there. What are you doing? You can do Tumblr. Don't put pictures of me online. But I find it really cool that, you know, the Doctor's really like, you know, he's fascinated by something new that he hasn't seen, or whether he has seen, but he hasn't really had a chance to like experience necessarily to the full extent that we experienced the moon hatching in this. And it boggles me to see him, you know, excited about something, because you don't get that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets excited when, like, humans see something new, but, like, for him to see something new the first time around with somebody and experience that, it's really cool.
And then you got to see how upset he was at the idea of killing that.
Yeah, because, I mean, he gets reasonably arrogant at how stubborn the human race can be.
Yes.
You know, and then he decides, like, I'm going to put Clara in charge of this, like, you've got this, like, I trust you, here you go, goodbye.
Yes. But something I want to mention, right, and I mentioned this before a bit, but the idea he just finally let them do it. You know, it's very interesting to see that take, because I feel like other doctors would have just, quote-unquote, saved the day. But this one, you know, he wanted them to choose.
Yes.
And you know, and his faith in Clara was not misplaced. I mean, Clara stopped it. The Doctor never left. He just put the cloak on the TARDIS, which I think was funny. Because, like, immediately just, hey, I'm right here. Come on. All you get in here. And the Doctor knew what was going to happen, but he let her choose because he
trusts her to this extent.
He trusts her. Yeah. And before we get into that, because I know you and I had differing opinions in that, before we get into that, I want to mention the Doctor. I can't believe they actually referenced another thing from Matt Smith's time as the Doctor. The part about humanity moving to the stars.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hitler.
Oh, yeah, well, no, we mentioned, I think we mentioned Hitler already in the podcast. So we don't want to make too many Hitler references. I already said Hitler
This is true.
4 times now. Hitler. So, 5. So, yeah, I don't want us to get flagged. So, yeah, I just want to mention, that, the idea of humanity going to the stars. And it was very interesting because that happened, or at least we saw what happened after they went to the stars. And UK became its own.
Yeah.
So we got to see sort of the idea of, the moon, being replaced and then, being birthed and all that stuff. And it was very interesting because it was kind of going along. It wasn't there just yet because, of course, everything survived. But he was making reference to it because, he literally, it was like he was quoting himself from back then. So that was very interesting. Also, right, so now we're here. Before we go, we have to talk about, that last, because we don't have to talk about the exchange between Clara and Pink, because that was cute and it was interesting. And then,
it was very understanding. He definitely had to make sure, she was okay.
Yeah, because he's dealt with stuff like that before, and it was very interesting to see. But, but that, it's not that important compared to the fight that the Doctor and Clara had.
Yeah, and this is
now,
where
usually,
our opinions are very different on this.
Yeah, because usually I want her to leave, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because of what, but I think this is some really good development for her because the Doctor has really just been shitting on her for this last season. So it does not really, when a Doctor is a lot calmer and nicer, I think it meshes well with something like, oh, I wanted you to choose. You'll get angry, but it's like usually if the Doctor is a lot nicer, it'll kind of mesh well. But the Doctor's been a jerk recently, so I kind of understand Clara looking at it more like, hell, he even said stuff about your trading wheels, take them off your bike. So it's just he's been very condescending on and off, but mostly condescending. So I can understand her getting upset because, yeah, he was a jerk, and honestly, even though we trusted her, still. That's a lot of pressure for someone who isn't designed for it. She's not designed for those decisions.
Who necessarily says that the Doctor was? He just, he had to go to war, and he took it upon himself to run away, and he takes it upon himself to make these decisions and to save worlds and to try to make the right decision.
But he has experience.
No, well, yes, but no, because everything's always going to be different. It's
but
not
I'm
like
saying
he's had experience
with saving. No, but he's had experience with saving the world and thinking during critical times. Critical thinking.
Yes, but he's also had experience with making the wrong decision.
No, of course he does. I'm not saying that the Doctor is somewhat qualified to do this. I'm just saying that she's just a simple school teacher.
Yeah, but you see, Clara tries to take over at times, and I think, it's the fact that he let her make the decision for once, and though he trusted her, to make the right one, whatever it be, she felt like it was too much pressure to take on. It's like, well, maybe, you should rethink, certain aspects of traveling with the Doctor. His job isn't easy. Granted, he's done this for a long time, but
no one ever said his job was easy, though. But
well,
she didn't sit there and think it was an easy decision. It's just, it's one of the things
they always, but you see, when the Doctor makes a wrong decision or whatever, it's everyone, companions or what have you, or he's sitting there like, Doctor, what do we do? What do we do? Do this, do that. And everyone's always looking for decisions from him, and it's like, they need answers, and half the time he's like, well, I don't know. Well,
yeah,
why don't you know? You should know this by now.
But he should. He's the man with the big blue box that has lived for 1,000+ years, that has done this so many times, that I can understand if someone wants to rely on him for something. If I'm talking to, if I ask you for advice on writing, and you're an accomplished writer who's been doing this for 50 years, you shouldn't sit there and be like, look, I don't fucking know. You can say, look, I don't really get it or whatever. It's a different kind of writer or this or this or this. But he's experienced in doing what he's doing. And mind you, I'm not saying that he can't know something. Of course, people have new experiences. And if the Doctor knew everything, this wouldn't be an interesting show. But what I'm saying is that it's, I don't think that this was supposed to be, okay, yes, it was probably written as a way to be like, oh, it's like a lesson to, like show that, the Doctor doesn't know everything, but in a way he does, because he knew what was going to happen and whatever. And it was a good lesson, yes, but I don't think we should look at it as some kind of like, haha, shows her for kind of just being on the TARDIS. Shows her. Like, what does it show?
No,
like,
I don't.
She wasn't being mean enough to warrant something like this, because this is a harsh thing to do to someone who, you're putting the world on her shoulders.
I get
literally.
that. I get that, but I don't think he was doing it, like in a mean purpose sense of it, but he was just like, showing her, like giving her and Courtney an insight of, what it really means to have to make a big decision like that. And granted,
yes,
it was probably the worst situation to do it, but it was also, something that he knew he trusted Clara enough with, because he's been with her for so long, and it just comes down to like, I trust you to make the right decision regardless of what happens, and I know you're mad that I wasn't there, but there's going to be a time where I'm not there all the time, and you're going to have to make like big life decisions, whether they're in space or not. Even in the real world, it's like you're a grown up, and this is what you're going to have to do.
Look, I understand the concept, but I think it's weird to say, look, sometimes you're going to have to make decisions that kill hundreds and thousands of people, possibly even your own grandchildren. It's going to happen.
It's a metaphor.
Right? I know. Sorry that it's just that, I just think it was more so of it's your planet Earth, and I knew that you were going to make the right decision.
He's got a point, though.
What?
It is her Earth.
Exactly. That's exactly.
It
said.
comes down. It's like you can't expect an alien to constantly make a decision for the human race.
Exactly.
Even though he's good at doing that.
He does have a point. Yes.
I do like her line though. Like, I'll smack you so hard you'll regenerate.
Oh my God, that was brilliant. I really like that line a lot.
Like, that's just like, oh, she means business.
Yeah, no, that was a really fun line, because even though she was angry, it was just, she was not playing around, and I understand it, because she was just in a very vulnerable position, the idea of, But anyway, so we're at the end of our show. Before we go, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you didn't mention, which episode did you like more out of the two?
Probably The Caretaker is my favorite out of the entire season so far.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I really need to rewatch everything we're going to do. But far, like from watching it the first time around, Caretaker was by far my favorite.
I understand.
One of them, anyway.
No, I believe me, I understand. So we're at the end of our episode. We would like to thank you guys for listening to those guys. And now I'm going to do my whole social media stick. First off, we have our website, which is thoseguysonthe.radio.tumblr.com, where you can contact us if you want to ask us about, different show ideas. If you want to say, hey, would you guys be able to do this show? Or maybe just ask us, you guys can, different schedules on what shows we're going to do and things like that. That would be really cool for you to contact us. Well, yes, Orphan Blacker. I'm muting you. You're not one of the people. You're on the show. I mean, you can do that, but you're not.
All right, I'll stay in the corner. Continue.
No, I'm going to make it official. I've muted her. Ha ha ha. She's cursing me out right now, as loud as she can, but she can't get through. So anyway, those guys on the radio.tumblr.com, where you can contact us, again, asking us different shows and things like that. And you can also find our shows in the archives. A lot of shows that we've done, a whole lot of shows. Things like WWE Monday Night Raw, WWE pay-per-views, or network events. We've also done Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Gotham, Arrow, Flash, The Following, The Walking Dead, Mike Tyson Mysteries, Black Dynamite, Pokemon video games as well, Dragon Ball Z films, the animated films, as well as the animated Bleach films. And we've done a lot of stuff, is the point. We've done a lot of stuff. Definitely check us out, on our website. Also, you can go check us out on iTunes, which is Those Guys on the Radio, or Those Guys Radio, which you should be able to find our archived shows on there as well. You can go to our Blog Talk Radio, which I assume if you're listening to us live, or maybe in the archives, you're listening to us on Blog Talk Radio, which is blogtalkradio.com/Those Guys on the Radio. Also, you can get any updates on future shows, as I mentioned, on our website, or you can get updates on future shows through our Facebook, which is /Those Guys on the Radio, or our Twitter, which is @Those Guys Radio, or our Instagram, which is /Those Guys on the Radio. Oh boy, there's a lot. Also, we have a YouTube channel coming up, which we will be talking to you about. You check out any of our websites or any of our social media accounts, and you can see it coming up. A lot of our, shows will be up on the YouTube, so you can listen to us there as well. And some of the funny openings that we've used throughout the year and a half. And yes, so again, I would like to thank you guys for listening to Those Guys. You're back on.
Thank you. You'll never take me alive.